why is it called Whispy?
Well, the term wistful, it means dreamlike in a sense, and the theme that we were trying to go for was toys, more of that childish sense, pastel. So it even reflects in the soundtrack and in the visuals, and so that's why we wanted to name the game Whispy.
So one thing I struggled with was, I'm sitting pretty far back, so I can't see a whole lot. Your main character was maybe a mouse with tank treads. I'm not sure from here. And obviously players are going to experience that a lot different. They'll be able to see what you're doing, but for a lot of secondary reasons like branding and recognizability and sort of shareability of your project, you want these main characters that are really clear to make out, very iconic. And I think, is your character's name Whispy or? Okay, yeah, so I think Whispy is very recognizable, but not very understandable. I think that there needed to be a lot more bolder strokes. I think Whispy has tiny arms or something, I can tell from here. But like, I want to see some larger structures, some bigger features so I can easily understand that. Because people are going to be walking by somebody else playing a game and be like, what was that? Do I remember that? Am I going to see that next time and recognize that? I would say that's sort of the greatest weakness of your game, is just that kind of like iconic recognizability. I also feel like, so my AP English teacher told me that AP stood for address the prompt. I think in this case, like the one room theme is kind of weak. You have a maze, which is sort of a room, and then when you actually get into a room and fight a wizard, that's when I was like, wait, this is a different room. So that, I struggled with that a little bit, but it's clear that you guys have put a lot of thought into your game loop and your game flow, and it seems like a pretty solid, well thought out, and from the map, it looks like a game with a ton of content, which I can really appreciate given the schedule that you have, but it seems like you could probably play this game for 30 minutes, and that's really impressive for a 40-hour period. I do a lot of game jams, and in 24 hours, we're pretty happy if I have like 5 minutes of gameplay, so really good job on that.
I kind of come in behind Eric a little bit, like with the same idea that, yeah, I'm not quite sure of the narrative as you're coming through there, like of what it is we're doing. Like I get we're going through the maze, but just sort of like what the nature of the bosses is and why I'm a mouse and there's that. But that's just the story side of it. But if we just want to look at the gameplay though, I really like that mechanic of having that tight normal camera and kind of being there and only being able to see that small amount of the room, so you're sort of like kind of lost in that maze. Like you know, it's one thing to kind of go through a maze when you can see the whole thing, but if you have to like kind of get rewarded and find that map to be able to like sort of have the bigger vision to know where you're going, that seems like something that'd be cool to play with, that you could go with. So a little bit of imprinting the story a little more clearly, like on top of that mechanic, and I think you guys are really off to a great start in a short period of time.
Yeah, I'm not really going to say much other than what's already been said before. Is mechanically, it does a lot of interesting things. It doesn't really follow the prompt all that well, but there's probably things that you could do with what you've made that could actually, if you wanted to adjust it to take place in a large room that changes shape or something like that. There's actually a lot that you could do with what you've created. But yeah, I agree. It's kind of unclear to me what the overall context of who you are, what you're doing, why. It's not necessarily a hard thing. It's just something to keep in mind as you're going to be making more games. It's just when you take a step back and look at the whole project from a distance, what is it about? What is it saying? What's the central conflict there? And what's my goal? But yeah, definitely a good effort.